great many Democrats in a state where Democrats out-register Republicans view the voter ID bill as a Republican effort to suppress the Democratic vote.
No. Because I don't think that a great many Democrats do, when 87% of the people, I think in the last poll, support voter ID. The legislature is in the process of considering that legislation. If it is passed, I will sign it. And I look at it this way. It ensures one man, one vote. Amy?
Similar legislation.
You got to speak up a little
Sorry,
bit.
similar legislation has been blocked in recent days in Wisconsin and Texas. Do you have concern with that moving forward? That the same would happen?
You know, you don't back away from something just because some other state and a court in another state took some action, or that there may be action taken here. If the legislation isn't passed, then there would be no court action. If there's court action, there'll be court action.
On voter ID, the one thing for the April 24th primary, voting people would have to ask people requesting to show voter ID.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Under this bill for the April 24th primary, election people would have to ask people to at least show their ID,
Right.
but not require. Are you concerned about any election day problems or delays, even with this little question being asked?
No. If I ask you to show me your ID right now, I think it would take you about 10 seconds to reach in and get you. Now, if you don't have it, there might be a little bit of time on that. But this is one where because it's not required in this primary, they'll be passed on, but they'd be reminded. So I don't think you're going to see any kind of major delays when it comes to the primary. Yeah.
Okay, I have two questions now. One is the follow-up to the...
Well, you get to ask one, and then he gets to ask one, and then we'll come back to you maybe.
About Harrisburg and the crime spree that's going on here. Has the mayor asked for any help with state police? Are you willing to send the state police in this?
First off, the answer is no. She has not asked. She has not reached out to us at this point in time. Secondly, I know, and having read the paper, I do read your editorials, not yours, but your publisher's editorials, that there was comments that the Governor Rendell supplied people. I will tell you, we are stretched at state police. We continue to be stretched at state police. Everybody, if we can accommodate in such a way, we will. But I know that the mayor is doing her best to try and deal with this issue of violence. I have to say, if you read the newspapers in Philadelphia, they seem to be experiencing somewhat of a similar nature, not necessarily in their main entertainment area as we seem to be having occur here in Harrisburg. But the mayor wants to give us a call. I won't turn her call down. I don't know what we'll be able to do, but I have a very good state police commissioner, and we can sit down and work on it. I think he was next, Charlie, and then you.
Voter ID is pretty much a twofold question. You mentioned that it should take but no time to show an ID. In talking to judges of elections and those who work the polls, they say it's going to cause havoc. It is going to take a lot of time. But with that said, you can address.
Let me just interrupt you. If they asked me for my voter card, I'd have a lot of problem finding it. I don't know. It's on top of my dresser in my home in Pittsburgh, but my driver's license is right here. That's why I think it would probably take less time to find a photo ID that is acceptable than to find your voter card.
Rush. It seems.
What rush? They've been talking about this for years. There's no rush.
For the general election, it appears anyway on the surface.
I'm going to disagree with you. This has been the subject of discussion for a number of years. Okay? We have an election coming up. Let's get it done. Quite honestly, you could ask the question in reverse. Why not get it done? Okay? It's a natural debate, isn't it? And they're doing it on the floor. I was watching it on the floor a little bit myself. I promise Charlie next and then you.
This winter, there's been a series of sort of like social issues rights issues that have kind of caught fire and ginned up a lot of opposition from interest groups like the ACLU, the NAACP on voters' rights, the ACLU, Planned Parenthood on the ultrasound bill, the atheists on the Year of the Bible. Today, state government shelved a planned debate on same-sex marriage. And what I'm getting to is, do you ever get concerned that some of your Republican friends in the legislature may be overreaching on the social issues and the rights issues to the point where it might become sort of counterproductive to the Republican goals in 2012, and you might lose some.
Charlie, one of the things that I've learned now in 14 months, the legislature is going to do what the legislature wants to do. They have to deal with this wide spectrum in both parties, in both houses of their membership. And I certainly am not going to prevent them from having their debates, or try to prevent them from having their debates. And that's the purpose of a legislature, is to have these debates, have these discussions. And eventually, either the law is passed or it's rejected.
Are you worried that they might be scaring off some of the independent voters and the moderate voters that voted with and helped get a 112-seat majority in 2010?
I think you have two different elections that you're looking at, Charlie. You're looking at a national election, and you're looking at a state house election. The state house election, I believe, is a very local-driven election. The national election clearly is more of a statewide issue. I don't see it on the local, on the statewide. You know, it's clear to me, has been clear to me for a long time, that we have an independent-minded center of the electorate that will move back and forth between the two ends of the spectrum. And how all of this debate goes on with the primaries that have been going on all across the country, the debates that the presidential candidates have engaged in, and the discussions in the House and the Senate on various pieces of legislation, we won't know the result of that until we get to November and the election. Brad?
Just to follow up Jan's question, and that is it appropriate for the universities to go in this when you've called for the universities to cut costs and they're going on the trade mission, or is Team PA paying their fair
No, no. Team PA is not. I would notice that Carnegie Mellon, private university, Drexel, private university, University of Pittsburgh, what do we call the University of Pittsburgh? Semi-private, states somewhat supported. I would certainly hope that they're not using state taxpayer dollars for that. Okay, but I think it's a good idea for them to be, for the three to be over there and trying to expand their presence beyond the borders of Pennsylvania, beyond the borders of the United States. Peter?
Traditionally, Pennsylvania governors have been very involved in the primaries where their presidential candidate has been selected.
Do you consider me to be traditional?
I don't consider you.
I'm just teasing you. Come on, Peter, I'm teasing you.
No, I don't think you're that far off in time, Rich. But in terms of, if you ever make up your mind and pick, I'm sorry, if you ever reveal.
If I ever reveal, okay.
Do you plan to be active the way that, for example, Governor Rich was for Governor Bush?
Well, I will certainly be active once we have the nominee at the convention and thereafter. What role I play before that, before the primary, still remains to be seen. I'm waiting to see some of this play out.
So you might not make a choice. You might not reveal your choice before the primary.
I might not.
And you plan to get involved in the specials. There are two state house specials in the Lehigh Valley and Doug Reichley and Denny O'Brien's districts.
Well, there's more than that.
There are two where the outcome might be in some now.
Okay. We have not sat down and talked with anybody on that at this point in time. No, we've not talked about that. Wait a second. Who hasn't gotten a chance to ask a question yet? Kirk?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. First time. Question for you, back to Harrisburg, more specifically the Capitol complex. In light of the crime rate, the increasing spike in crime, it's kind of coming up toward 3rd Street and in the area of the Capitol complex. Do the Capitol Police, do you or your state police have any plans to increase security? Budget nights, sessions run late, people have to walk their cars some distances.
Well, there has been, to me, that I know of, no request from the legislature to do that, and I'm going to answer this right off the top of my head, but we will get back to you. I believe when they are in session here, DGS has directed Capitol Police to have a greater presence available, and if there are members and staffers that are concerned about their safety, now many of them park right on the complex and in the garage, so that's a little bit different. We would certainly take a look at that. This right now, bringing the state police down here for session nights, no intention of doing that at this point.
I don't know if the Capitol Police would increase their bike patrol, more people out on foot. That's what I was thinking of, bringing the state police down.
Yeah, well, that has not been a discussion yet, but we'll go find out. Okay.
Rick Santorum's campaign announced today that Brian Knox is going to be his director in the state of Pennsylvania. Does that change does that affect at all your timetable
No.
for
No.
taking sides?
No. Do not read anything into that. Okay? Is that plain and simple?
But Brian,
Don't try to read between the lines. It has nothing to do with it.
So you gave him Steve Welch, but not Rick?
Pardon me?
You gave him Steve Welch, but not Rick?
I don't. Okay. No,
did Brian
in the back. In the back.
Governor, the House passed this RCAP debt reform bill this week. It's going over to the Senate. I know your people had some hands in the process on the House side. Does that bill do what you think should be done with the RCAP program in terms of a 20-year timeline to sort of bring that debt cap down? Does it meet your...
We have publicly stated that we support Representative Turzai's bill. Okay?
Governor Rendell had an out-of-state travel restriction policy going on. I was wondering, does your administration continue that, or do you have anything like that in place?
We have pretty much continued it. We probably, and I don't have it here in front of me. It's in some cases it's on a case-by-case basis. Obviously I travel out of state, as did Governor Rendell, but it is really looked at very closely. But overall, I believe it's still in force. Laura?
Still waiting on the announcement of a couple of ethane crackers. Have you, like some of these other governors, flown down to Houston to personally lobby Shell or some of these other companies?
I'm not going to tell you what I've done. We have confidentiality agreements that we're abiding by. Let's put it this way. I have our governor's action team and myself have had meetings with decision makers with Shell. I'm not going to go into where, when. I'm very hopeful that we will prevail. But I also want to remind everybody that it's clear to me that this is the start point rather than the end point. And I think it's important that everybody understands that. This will be a decision by the company as to where they intend to place this. There are a whole bunch of hurdles between that and probably a fair amount of time between that and the first shovel that goes in the ground to start to work on it.
You aren't disheartened that this timeline has gotten pushed back a little bit. We heard
No.
at the beginning of the year and now end of the first quarter.
Yeah, what's today? The 12th, the 13th of March? No. Okay.
Will you sign the voter ID bill? And if Barack Obama wins, will you consider running against him 4 years from now?
Running against him in 4 years?
Or running for...
I was going to say he can't run in 4 years. No. I will sign it right away, but I will not be running for president. You guys are enough for me.
It's kind of cold, so one of the later questions, but where do you stand, and I apologize if you've already said publicly, where do you stand on that ultrasound bill that seems to kind of stir things up in the House?
Well, I mean, we made a statement during the campaign. I wouldn't change it as long as it's not obtrusive. But we're still waiting to see.
I mean, making them watch and speaking, does that go too far in your mind?
I don't know how you make anybody watch, okay? Because you just have to close your eyes. But as long as it's on exterior, not interior. Okay? Anything else? Tony, nothing?
Another question on voter ID.
They've had.
The allegation, this was asked another way, but the allegation is being made again and again that this is raw electioneering, manipulating the fall presidential election.
You know, if this was the first time they ever talked about it, you might be able to argue that, but this isn't. You all know that. You can go back over the years and see what they've been doing with trying to get voter ID. So it's not that. It's a time that has come. 87% of the people in that poll said this is the right thing to do. And it's really about one man, one vote. Okay?
How big an effect do you expect it to have? Let's assume you sign it. Do you think there'll be 10,000 votes cast less than last time? 50?
Oh, no, I think well, frankly, I think there'll be more people coming out to vote. And I think there have been studies that demonstrated in those areas that more people came out to vote as a result of that. But it's still one man, one vote.
Not to beat a dead horse, and Brian aside, what do you think, you see some politicians effectively the head of the state Republican Party, what do you think about the fact that Rick Santorum, given where he is now in the presidential primary, has yet to get an endorsement from a major Republican in the state? And those who have, a lot are neutral, like yourself, but those who have taken sides have passed over Santorum. What do you think?
Well, first off, let me make this observation. Never underestimate Rick Santorum. First time I met Rick Santorum, I think I told Dennis this earlier today. First time I met Rick, he was a young lawyer who came up to me, and I was running the Bush 41 campaign in Pittsburgh in 1988. And he told me how he was going to run against Doug Walgren in 1990 and beat him. I went, yeah, kid, go for it. Okay? Now, I'm going, yeah, this is going to happen. He won. And 2 years later, after he gets reelected, he says he's going to run for the Senate. Yeah, okay. And he won. So now he's out there saying he's running for president. And I think if I polled you all, he has gone much further than anybody sitting in those chairs right there ever anticipated that he would go. So that's my observation. The other observation, what you said, is about nobody giving major endorsements at this point within Pennsylvania. He doesn't need our endorsements in Pennsylvania at the moment. He needs them in Alabama, Mississippi, and Hawaii today. And he needs them in other primaries between now and April the 24th. So don't read too much into that. And again, don't read into anything about Brian being there. Brian and I have agreed on many things, and we have disagreed on many things. Okay? Thank you all.